Well, it's Tuesday, and you all know what that means. As you probably can know, we're getting closer and closer to WrestleMania week, but also to Stand and Deliver. Now, the real question we ask ourselves, who will be challenging Stephanie Vakir for the NXT Women's Championship? As you know, we have competitors line up, but Stephanie Vakir will be making her decision. And as you probably know, Dark State continue to cause mayhem. But the real question is, will the opponents for the main event and Stand and Deliver coexist? We're talking about Obafemi, Javon Evans, and Trick Williams. That's a very good question. So we're just going to see what happens. But first things first, we have some recent events from two Joshi promotions. The first one is with Joshi Pro Wrestling. As you know, they just begun their spring tour. They debut in Ueno. I don't know where that is. That took place recently on April 2nd, having a great, interesting event. And then, of course, as we know, MARIGOLD continues with more of the Spring Victory Series, featuring many matches as well. So we'll see what happens in that as well. And then, of course, as always, we cap up our episode usually with our news updates to give you guys updates on what's been happening in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are throwing out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of pro wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere where pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information was unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, got real-timing news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of pro wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us or click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, enough with the pleasantries. It's time to fly like an eagle. So let's begin, of course, with Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling. Okay, Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling. Spring Festival debut in Ueno. This took place on the 2nd of April at the Ueno Park uh, outdoor stage. So basically, it's not a typical venue. Basically, there's like a stage right there in the front, kind of like an amphitheater sort of thing. But yes, so that's where it took place. As always, we have Sayuri Namba opening up the event, giving the greetings and info on the day event. And of course, the Up girls doing their usual thing, performing in front of everybody for one song. Now, let's begin with our very first match. We have tag team action. We have Chika Nanaze teaming up with Toga, taking on Haruna Neko, and of course, our current International Princess Champion, Zuzumi. So I was kind of thinking the only way this match was going to finish is with Zuzumi because, as you know, she is one of the most popular wrestlers, and of course, she is one of the top champions as well. she was able to pick up the win for her team when she applied the ring the bell on Chika Nanaze, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, over. Next up, we have Ivy Steele and Kira Summer teaming up. They take on Maki Ito and Yuki Kamifuku, which is no strange because those two sometimes will team up. And as you probably can guess, of course, the most popular person was going to win this match. Regardless, it was Maki Ito when she applied, of course, the Texas Cloverleaf onto Ivy Steele. And of course, Ivy Steele had no choice but to tap out. And just like that, it was over. Next up, we have a three-way match. We have Ura Takami, Arisu Endo, and of course, Miyu Watanabe. Now, factors on this one. Uta Takami hasn't picked up the biggest win just yet. I mean, she hasn't picked up a win at all, but just generally speaking, she most likely will be the one to take the loss. But the real question is, you ask yourselves, who will walk out as the winner? Will it be the former, of course, Prince champion Miyu Watanabe, or will it be Arisu Endo? That is a very good question. I mean, we do see these two ladies are two of the stronger ones in this match, and that plays out pretty well too. But to my surprise, it was in fact Arisu Endo who was able to pick up the win with a somewhat of a suplex onto Uta, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, Arisu Endo wins. Next up, we have tag team action. We have Mifu Ashida and Wakana Uehara taking on Moka Miyamoto and, of course, the Pink Striker, Miyu Yamashita. So you probably can guess how this was going to go because Miyu Yamashita, she kicks hard. She picks up good wins in her matches. She was able to pick up a win for her team when she applied, of course, Death Valley Bomb onto, of course, onto Mifu Ashida. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, over. Next up, we have a very interesting match called the Rock and Roll Tag Team Death Match. Now, I think some of you are saying, I thought Tokyo Pro Wrestling doesn't do this. Well, guys, this is not your typical type of death match. Where you get cut, bleed. They do these goofy death matches things, which is fun. And they had this thing where, of course, they did a little singing, dancing. I don't know. They could have just called it something else other than death match, just to be honest with you. But this one features, of course, my hero, Kiru, Rika Tatsumi. They take on Trans Am Hiroshi and A Wazawa, which, of course, if you guys look closely, it's Antonio Honda. It seems he has another character in place, and that kind of plays out. But however, there was a moment where they were all singing, dancing, and this match ended, of course, with a double pinfall with the backslide on both ladies to the men, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, the ladies win. Now, our main event is a very unusual one called the Spring Sport Day Special 10-woman tag team match. Team number 1, we have Imawari, Kaya Toribami, Yoshiko Hasegawa, Hyper Misao, and Shoko Nakajima. They take on Shinozuki, Haru Kazushiro, Raku, Yuki Aino, and Mizuki. Now, there were certain things that kind of went into place on this thing. The first, they had like this little challenge. First one is called ball throwing. So basically, you're in a match and they're throwing you balls. Not very hard ones, like the ones that you have in one of those, the types that you go at a McDonald's where they're like foam, or place like Chuck E. Cheese. Those sort of things. They're just throwing at them. They're soft, but they'll hurt. If you hit through it hard. But just like that. But the people that won the match, of course, is Suzuki, Kazushida, Raku, Ueno, and Mizuki. So they won this match. The second match is called a 3-leg wrestling. So basically, it's two people running around in in 3 legs. So like one leg will be tied with the other. Like if you have someone if you're using your right leg, someone will be using their left leg. That sort of thing. So that kind of thing plays out too. But however, this match goes to Nakajima and Yoshiko. And then the next one was, of course, the baton rally. Basically, it's not a wrestling match. Basically, you're trying to run and then get to the ring, that sort of thing. And that one goes, of course, to team number 2. Shino, Haru, Raku, Yuki, and Mizuki. But however, to break the tie on this one, there was, of course, what's it called? The special rules match, and the person who won this one was Raku. So it was a very interesting match. I mean, nothing too crazy or anything, but it was kind of a bit fun, a little bit wacky. I mean, I would rather see them wrestle in trains and possibly, of course, the aquarium. But that's pretty much how it was for me. So that's how it ended. So we'll leave things as that. So let's just move on to the next, of course, review, and that is Marigold. Marigold. This is continuing with more with the Spring Victory Series. This was at the KBS Hall, which is a very famous venue. If anybody knows, this was in Kyoto. This happened on the 5th of April, but was not broadcast onto the Wrestle Universe channel until the 7th of April. Now, first match, we have a three-way. We have Ryawa, Nagisa, Tachibana, and Hummingbird. So basically, in three ways, anything could happen. But I do see the stronger individuals on this one most likely had to be Hummingbird. Hummingbird applied like a somewhat of a jackknife onto Tachibana, and just like that, 1, 2, 3 is over. However, right in the match, Tachibana was basically like not happy with the result that she lost to Hummingbird, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's going to be a rubber match between those two at some point. But I could see it. Next match, we have Ryoko Sakimura teaming up with Kizuna Tanaka. They take on Rhea Seto and Natsumi Shozuki. So nothing too special on this one. I mean, there are some wrestlers that are really, strong, but I figured this match was going to fall in favor to Seto and Shozuki due to the fact that Sakimura is, of course, much of the lesser experienced wrestler when, of course, when Rhea Seto applied a somewhat of a rolling German suplex onto Sakimura, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, over. Our next match, we have Yuki Minami taking on one half of the Dream Star Tag Team Champions, Seri Yamaoka. Of course, Minami actually is, of course, a very interesting wrestler. She has grown, but however, she's facing a wrestler who has been making big waves as even though she seems like she has the least of experience, she's able to pull through. And of course, Yamaoka applied a submission onto Minami, and just like that, she actually tapped out, and just like that, it was over. Next match, we have Darkness Revolution, consistent of Mitsa Matsui and Chiaki taking on Chika Goto and Miku Ano. This match, I have to say that it seems like there's been some back and forth between Mitsa Matsui and Chika Goto, for a while. It appears that Chika Goto has been targeted by Mitsa Matsui for quite some time. But however, once again in this match, Chika Goto took the fall again, this time with Mitsa Matsui applying the bridge. And of course, it was 1, 2, 3 over. But however, Mitsa Matsui is taking great pleasure in humiliating, of course, Chika Goto at her expense. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's like a somewhat of a rubber match between those two. Now, our next match, we have Mirai versus Nanane Takahashi. So this is a tough one. I was like, okay, this is going to be interesting. Now remember, Nana Takahashi will retire on the first year anniversary of Marigold since they launched. That was part of the deal, and I'm sure this is one of those matches where, of course, Mirai has to put everything into the match, her entire soul, in order to pick up the win. But the real question: does soul can beat passion? That is the thing that I think is a good question. I mean, they threw everything at each other, but unfortunately, this match ended, of course, with um, a 15-minute time limit draw. So this is something I did not expect. But of course, Nana Takahashi had some words of wisdom for Mirai. But however, apparently a ghost from Nana Takahashi's past, or should I say someone we all too familiarized, we haven't heard from for a while, we're talking about Jungle Kiona. Yes, folks, Jungle Kiona's back. However, Jungle Kiona wants to have a match against Nana Takahashi, as you know, because of her retirement coming up soon. But Jungle Kiona said that recently, um, as you all know, she's unable to wrestle due to the injury she obtained on her knee, and there was no way to fix it. So I don't know if they're giving her limitation when it comes to wrestling matches, something we have seen before when it comes to certain people who have health issues. As you probably ask yourselves, what has been Joan Kiono doing recently? Well, she's been, of course, working as a firefighter at some place. I'm not sure where. So it seems that this match will happen. Of course, I'll keep you guys updated on that. So we'll see. Now, our main event, we have an 8-woman tag match. Team number 1, we have Gigaton once again teaming up with the members of Darkness Revolution, consisting of Megaton, Bozilla, and Nagiza Nozaki. They take on Chanyota, Victoria Yuzuki, Mai Sakurai, and Utami Ashida. Now, if you notice, we have the three women who hold single belts: Yuzuki, Sakura, and Utami. But it's interesting. I wasn't too sure. One thing was funny is Chanyota had to deal with Gigaton, who's a very unusual wrestler. But many of you may question, okay, so you probably can see the factors. You have Yuzuki, Sakurai, and of course Utami. They are champions, so one of them has to pick up a win against them. Fortunately, it did not happen because the person who actually took the fall was Megaton when she got pinned by Utami Ayashida. So, just like that, it was over. Of course, there was a post-match promo. I don't know what they said, but there was a post-match comment. Of course, it appears that Bozilla and Nagiza Nozaki were not too happy with the fact that they lost, and this time the person who is responsible for the loss is Megaton. I wouldn't be surprised if they kick her out and they put Gigaton as his replacement. Well, that's a very good question, but we'll see. But even though Gigaton's like, sorry, Gigaton, you're not part of this. Bye bye. So we'll see what happens. I do know there is another MARIGOLD event. I'm not sure if I'll be able to see it, but we'll see. So as of right now, let's move on to our next and final review, NXT. Okay, our final review. We start out, of course, with Stephanie Vakir making her way to the ring. However, the real question we ask ourselves, who will be her opponent, the challenger for the NXT Women's title at Stand and Deliver? She told Sarah that she'll make that decision by the end of the match she'll be watching. And of course, that match is between Jordan Grace and Jada Parker. Now remember, this whole mess happened because, of course, Jada Parker felt like, oh, this is my time. I'm the one who's going to do it. But, however, Jordan Grace is the one who decided to step in, saying, I'm stepping in now. But basically, we were about to have, like, okay, what was going to happen? But Jada Parker made the biggest mistake by slapping Stephanie Vakir, making this match what I would like to presume into a no contest. However, there was like a lot of beat up going on, and then Julia showed up to help Stephanie, and then blammo, she knocked Stephanie Vakir out. So basically, it seems that she has her intentions know that she wants to regain the NXT Women's Belt. Later on, they did catch up with her, asking her why she did it, and she said that, Stand and Deliver, there is no friends. It's all about the rematch. So basically, that's what it was. But the real question we ask ourselves, what was the answer for Stephanie Vakir? We did know later on that Stephanie said that she will have that the match will be a 4-way. So it's going to be her defending the NXT Women's Championship against Julia, Jada Parker, and Jordan Grace. So that's going to be interesting to see. So we'll see how that goes. Now, before their next match, Swipe Ripe is trying to tell Hank and Tank that they need, of course, to take notes because they think they're confident if they beat, of course, um, Fraxium, they probably will get a shot at the NXT belts. Now, those who are not familiar with Swipe Ripe, these guys are part of the WWE ID Prospect. So you may see them on WWE Evolve, so they made their presence known. But of course, as you probably can guess, that we did see some great moments with Fraxium picking up some wins. A good win when they applied, of course, the combination of the Super Spanish Fly and then, of course, the Phoenix Splash by Frazier, pinning, of course, Ricky Smokes, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, many of you may question, will Shawn Spears have like this moment where, of course, he will be pissed losing the NXT North American Championship to Ricky Saints? However, Shawn Spears saw this as a motivation to say, I didn't hold this belt because I wanted to, guys. I hold this belt because I wanted to lift you guys up. It's time for you guys to step up. So he's saying, Izzy, you're involved in that qualifier match. Nico, Brooks, you guys are have to deal with, of course, Hank and Tank, who claim that they will make it to top. It's our job to ensure they will never get there. So basically, Sean Spears saying that his gain and the loss was all about them. Try to motivate them. So that pretty much says it all right there. And of course, Fatal Influence are determined to, of course, Fallon Henley is trying to get her the NXT Women's North American title back. Apparently, they're talking about the qualifier, and I think Jasmine Nix was involved in this one. She faces against Soruka. Now, of course, you know there's going to be some outside interference between, of course, Fatal Influence, JZ Jane, and Fallon. But luckily, Soruka has Zaria by her side. But luckily, Soruka was able to walk away to win and punch her ticket to be involved in the six-person ladder match for the vacancy of the women's North American title when she applied the Soul Snatcher onto her, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, over. Now, Javon Evans was interviewed by Sarah talking about, okay, will they coexist? Of course, Obafemi and Trick Williams and Javon Evans themselves. Javon said that he's not too sure, but however, he did try to warn them that Dark State is a problem. But right now, it seems like the focus is the NXT title. So basically, it's like saying, in my opinion, they're putting Dark State on the back burner, but the NXT title is the more important. But that's a good question. So basically, this is may turn ugly if in any way possible. Now, our next match, we have Hank Walker and Tank Ledger, Hank and Tank Connection. They take on, of course, the Cullen, Brooks Jensen, and Nico Vance. Now, at recent weeks, we've been seeing Hank and Tank been losing matches, try to find ways to find their footing, but nothing works. They get advice from various people, first with the Hardys, then the Motor City Machine Guns, who else? Pretty Deadly, and a few others. But however, none of that works because it was Nico Vance who picked up the win on Hank, and just like that, it was over. Um, then we saw, of course, our brand new NXT North American champion Ricky Saints making his presence known, saying that he was going to turn the entire world upside down. So that's what he was trying to do, like prove people wrong, because people have been telling him you don't belong there. And then, of course, he talked about Ethan Page, about what he did to him last week. So that's set up. But however, it appears that people are trying to be next in line for the NXT North American Championship. So we had, of course, Lexis King, then Eddie Thorpe, Wesley, and Ethan Page showed up and attacked him. So basically, Ricky Saints has now bit off more than it can chew. So we'll see where that goes from there. Then we see, of course, Trick Williams being interviewed by Sarah talk about, of course, his upcoming NXT title match at Stand and Deliver. But however, the same question applied about, you know, will Obafemi and Javon Evans coexist with him? He doesn't think it will, but he knows that they have to watch each other's backs more than themselves. So that sort of thing. But we'll see. Next up, we have Yoshiko Inamura versus Wesley. As you know, Wesley tries to prove that he is the bigger top dog than Inamura. But however, as always, when it comes to these matches, when it comes to Wesley, we know DuPont and Igwe are involved. But however, things gone south. Inamura fell down onto the top of the rope and then pinfall by Wesley. But sooner or later, they will get back to this. Now, our next qualifier match of the North American Women's Championship for the ladder match and Stand and Deliver, we have Izzy Dane versus Ren Sinclair. I have to say this match looked more like, of course, Izzy Dane was going to win this match, and that's exactly what she did. She applied a power bomb onto her, and just like that, it was over. Now, it seems that there's some open spots left for the ladder match that will take place in Stand and Deliver. So the real question, who is going to take it? Well, we have the Meta Girls, Lash Legend, Jakara Jackson, and the three remain, and everybody from the Fatal Influence, including Roxanne Perez. But however, Ava was getting tired of this whole mess, so she said next week she'll make her decision. So we'll see what happens. Now, Andre Chase decided he did not want to help kill Dixon and, of course, or counters, but he decided to give him a helping hand regardless. But however, in the background, Tank and Tank are still suffering with their losses until they run into "We want the smoke." That's right, Street Profits showed up. So hopefully they get motivation from that too. But we'll see. Now our main event, as always, as I mentioned, we have Javon Evans, Trick Williams, and Obafemi taking on Dark State. But the real question is, who out of the three from the four will be facing? Well, it turned out to be um, Dion Lennox, James Cutler, and Sugar. So basically, that kind of played out. However, I kind of figured this match was going to go to Dark State for obvious reasons. Apparently, of course, miscommunications between all three members, Obafemi, Trick Williams, and of course Javon Evans. But however, much of the focus went to Obafemi and Trick Williams. And then, of course, Javon Evans was the one who was left with the Wolves, or should I say, of course, Dark State. And just like that, he was taken out by Sugar, and just like that, 1, 2, 3 is over. However, during the post match, well, Stacks had a message for Dark State saying that they're going to deal with them next week in the parking lot. So, can't wait to see what's going to happen. So, we'll see that. So, as of right now, we are officially done with our review. So, let's move on, of course, with our lasting news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news updates. So let's begin with upcoming events with the promotions. As you know, we have WrestleMania week taking place. Certain matches will be announced for that too. As you know, we have the WWE ID Championship Tournament taking place on 2 different days, on the 16th of April and, of course, the 18th. Now, the 16th is the one that features, of course, future stars of wrestling, and they announced another match for the opening rounds. We have Joshua Osaya and Freedom Ramsey. I don't know who that guy is, so that's the next match. Now, it appears another promotion has announced that we participate in Las Vegas called ASE Wrestling. I don't know where that's from. This one will take place on the 17th of April. They announced Leon Slater and ACH will be participating. If you guys don't remember him, ACH, yeah. Spark Joshi Puroresu of America has announced their first match for the Lady Luck event on the 17th. Azuki versus Lena Cross. Deadlock Pro Wrestling with Title Fight Vegas on the 18th. We have Ares and Beast Mortos teaming up. They take on Laredo Kid and Ray Horace. House of Glory has announced another participant for the Isolation event on the 25th of April, Masha Slamovich. 2 more names have been added for the Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling Northern Rising on the 10th of May. However, this is not part of the 20-man, of course, gauntlet match. We have, of course, Stu Hart and our current NWA World Heavyweight Champion, Tom Latimer. Now, 2 more events have been announced by Wrestling Revolver. One called Let Us Cook that will take place on the 17th of May in Dayton, Ohio. And then, of course, we have Cage of Horror that will take place on the 14th of June. So 2 events have been announced for that. Now let's move on to some developments here. First, this one was coming from Fightful Select. It was reported that Kelly has signed a WWE Legends deal. So basically, you'll be seeing her making appearances wherever she goes. DDT has announced that Keigo Nakamura will be going on an indefinite overseas excursion starting after the 23rd of April. Now, it's still unclear where is he going to go. Is he coming to the States? Will be going to the UK? There is no telling where he's going to go. So basically, he'll be sent off on that, on his last match on that. Suzu Suzuki talked about why did she turn on May Sita and, of course, Neo Genesis. And this is what she had to say. Let me pull it up real quick for all of you. Here it is. This is what she says. I'm no longer in the same direction as her. I was forcing myself to do Gairu thing, and as soon as I pretended to make up with May, Azumi announced her challenge to Starlight Kids, Wonder. In the end, I thought those guys are only thinking about themselves. I was really wondering what they were doing when they were dancing during their entrance. that was all kids show. Neo Genesis, right? I can't stand it anymore being used so that long-winded person can shine. So basically, she feels that Neo Genesis or something else that was not entirely her. Basically, she feels that Neo Genesis is all about Starlight Kid. So that's pretty much what's going on. But like I said, we don't know for sure if there's going to be a replacement for Neo Genesis. So that is something we probably will wait and see. So we'll see what happens. But as of right now, we are done with this episode. So let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode coming up. I will keep the next episode short because I will do a two review episode. Of course, is WWE Evolve and AEW Dynamite. The reason behind that is because unfortunately, I will be returning back to my regular day job and it's going to be early in the morning. So I may have to upload the video maybe earlier or maybe a little after work. I'm not sure, depending on my mood, because that's what I've been thinking about. But we'll see. But as of right now, that's how things are going to be. So I'll let you guys know. So I'll leave things as it is. Uh, so yeah. So until then, I will see you guys on the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye, and have a nice day. Bang.